Hey everybody, it's Max. It has been quite a while since I uploaded a video, but it's something I've been wanting to get back into, and so this is the result of that, I guess. The last video I uploaded was in January of 2020, so it's been a while, considering it's April of 2022 right now. Uh, So I guess the pandemic hit in around March of 2020, and I think everything kind of just went crazy for me. So that is why I haven't uploaded videos since then, and a lot has happened and changed for me since then. But I'm at a place now where I have somewhat enough time and mental space to start doing this again. And I just want to do it for you guys. Like, it's fun to just talk in the microphone and um, show what I've been working on so you guys can see a little bit behind the scenes, and then also just kind of share what I've been up to and talk about the process of my work a little bit, and maybe you guys get a chance to know me a little bit more aside from my brief Instagram captions. Um, so yeah, this piece, I should say, is my first watercolor piece in a while. Um, I am moving back towards working traditionally because of an arm injury that I've been dealing with since 2020, basically. Or 2020, late 2020, early 2021 was when it really started to affect my work. So I've found that working traditionally is much easier on my body for whatever reason. Well, I have theories about why, but I actually am thinking about making a kind of comprehensive video about why I think digital art is not as easy on your body as traditional art, because I found that there's not a lot of people talking about that out there, despite the fact that a lot of artists seem to be having injuries. And there seems to be a correlation between those injuries and working digitally, which I find very interesting. So, yeah, that's a whole thing. But long story short, for right now, is that I'm working in watercolor again so that my arm can heal more quickly and so that I can draw, because that's what I love doing, and not drawing sucks. um, so this piece is kind of just a like warm up essentially, and kind of getting back into using these tools, and something simple and fun. Uh, if you know my work, you know that I like drawing floating islands, and so this is kind of an easy and like relaxing subject matter for me that doesn't take too much mental energy, and I can just kind of have fun and draw and paint. So, um, yeah, this piece really didn't take that long. I've actually found that working traditionally is faster for me for some reason, which is very counterintuitive because a lot of people work digitally because it's supposed to make you faster. But I find that when I work digitally, I'm always reworking things and trying to make everything look perfect, and uh, undoing, redrawing, just constantly. And when I work traditionally, I find that I'm much more careful and thoughtful with each line that I make, and I'm not as precious about each line being perfect. And I actually find that the imperfections have more character and seem a little bit more human anyway. So it's kind of a win-win. Um, I do feel like I'm a little out of practice with working traditionally, but I wasn't trying to be too perfectionist with this piece because I just want to finish it and get it out in the world. Um, Sorry I say so much, you know. I haven't talked like this in a while. But let me talk about what has happened since the last video I made. Um, I was living in Rochester when I made the last video, Rochester, New York. And it was before COVID hit for us. So I basically was living in a different mindset and existence altogether in a way. And it's kind of weird making this being on the other side of all of that. Um, so I was living alone in Rochester and spending all of my time drawing. I made a comic which I posted on Instagram and have since deleted from Instagram because I don't know why. I guess I started getting like people wanting me to do comic illustration pieces, or I got one client that wanted me to do a comic for them, and I found that I just really didn't enjoy it. So I took the comic down because I didn't want more people reaching out to do comics. And I think the comic helped me like learn what I didn't want to do, which is sometimes the only way to know what you do want to do by kind of process of elimination. So yeah, I think it taught me a lot. It made me respect comic artists a lot because it's so much work. But I learned that it's really not for me, at least not right now in my life. And I just want to focus on more single image illustrations. I did some illustration work during that time, during COVID. A lot of personal work. I actually started doing a lot of watercolor work during COVID. And have since kind of moved back to digital, but I'm now moving back towards watercolor again. I'm sure it'll be a constant, like, back and forth throughout my career, but I don't know. I'm really liking the watercolor stuff. It's just so relaxing and fun, and I enjoy the process so much. So, yeah, and then I developed this arm injury kind of in the spring of 2021, winter of 2020. And it basically got to a point where I couldn't draw at all because every time I drew, my arm would flare up really bad, and it just wasn't fun to draw because I was in pain. And I started working more and more slowly on client work, which affected my income. And I finally got to a point where I started going to physical therapy, and that helped, but it still wasn't really working. And yeah, I finally got to a point where I was like, I have to just stop drawing for like a few months. But of course, since my income is from drawing, that meant I couldn't work at all. So I actually moved back to my parents' house for 3 months in the spring of 2021, and I didn't draw or do much of anything for those 3 months. And I'm really lucky that I was able to do that. Not everyone can just go live with their parents for 3 months and not work. And I definitely felt guilty sometimes, like, am I lazy? But I really wanted to rest my arm because I want to keep doing illustrations. It's like really what I love. And, I don't care what other people think. If I'm not working, it's because I'm resting my arm. It's not because I'm lazy. So here's some psychoanalysis of myself for you guys. But yeah, I basically started a garden in my parents' backyard, and I spent those 3 months gardening and playing Animal Crossing and Zelda. And it was super magical because my parents' hometown is just very quaint and beautiful, and it was just a really relaxing time. And I think it was an important lesson for me to slow down and not just work 24/7, because I was definitely kind of a workaholic leading up until then, and I think that's part of why the injury developed. And it really just taught me to like take a break, focus on some other things, and drawing would always be there when I healed up. I didn't have to keep doing it all the time to maintain this level of proficiency, I suppose, or, maintaining, keeping up to date on social media. I think that's actually another thing that kind of like led me to developing an injury, was being on social media all the time and just seeing other people's work all the time and feeling like I'm always behind and like I need to catch up. And that's like not a healthy mentality to have. Like, I understand that like you have to put in work sometimes to like get to the level you want to get at, but there's a point where it's not productive anymore. It's like you can really like, you have to get to a point where you start simplifying again and pulling back, and you don't have to do everything. Like, you can just work on the things that you really love, and you don't have to be good at everything to be successful. So that was a good lesson for me. And I also learned how to garden. I built a little raised garden bed in my parents' backyard. Spent basically all of my money on that. And I grew like a bunch of different vegetables like beets, carrots, lettuces, peas. I tried growing tomatoes, but I fucked them up. And yeah, a bunch of other stuff too. I think most of it worked pretty well, like the carrots and the lettuces and the peas. But it was so fun. Like, I realized that like I definitely want to have a garden at wherever I end up in my future home. But you know, it helped me through that time to have something to work on and care for. And I don't know, it's kind of interesting how caring for a garden kind of is a metaphor for your body too. Like, I always find those kind of synchronicities, I guess, interesting in life, where things line up in a weird way. It seems a little bit like serendipitous, maybe, or I don't know. It's just interesting. But I'm kind of rambling. But I do think that the gardening helped in many different ways, physically and mentally. And then after that, I ended up going to Vermont for an artist residency for 10 weeks. And that was really relaxing, but had its ups and downs. But overall, it was a pretty good experience being out in nature for 10 weeks and camping, living in a cabin. And then after that, I really had no plans, so I decided maybe I could try living in New York City, because it's something I always wanted to do, and I have no roots anywhere. Like, I can move wherever I want because I'm a freelancer. So I thought, why don't I just try living in New York City? Maybe I can find a cheap apartment, and a lot of my really close friends live here. So I texted all of my friends that lived here, and I just said, if anyone has a room available, let me know. And sure enough, one of my friends was moving out of this room that I'm in, and it was super cheap, especially for New York City standards, and it was in my price range relatively. So I decided to just try it, and I did, and I'm here, and it's a very crazy place, and I'm slowly adjusting, but that may be the subject for another episode. But yeah, I guess I tend to just live my life kind of bouncing around to different places and doing different things, and I guess that's the way I like it, at least for now. I feel like I could say so much more about these things, but this is just kind of an update video, so I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Hope that you liked seeing this piece, and if you're interested in buying it, I'm going to be putting the original watercolor painting for sale on Etsy, as well as prints. And if you want to see more of my work, you can subscribe to my Patreon, where I'll be posting sketchbooks and behind the scenes stuff. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.